Hidden deep in the rugged heart of Utah's Uinta Basin lies Blind Frog Ranch, a place wrapped in local legend, strange energy readings, and a long history of unexplained occurrences. Locals whisper about lost treasure, paranormal phenomena, and government secrets buried beneath the soil. But among the many stories, one stands apart for its chilling stillness: the mystery of the woman who arrived without a name, died without a sound, and left no trace behind. It began one summer morning, when the sun bled golden across the sage-covered hills. The ranch hands were just beginning their routines, checking fences, fueling ATVs, and prepping for the day's work. The stillness of the desert morning was broken by the sudden cry of crows circling a rocky outcrop just north of the property. At first, no one paid it much mind. But something about their frantic circling unsettled a young rancher named Chase, who decided to investigate. Climbing the ridge, Chase discovered a bizarre sight. At the center of the rocky clearing, nestled beneath the shadow of a bent juniper, was a woman's body. She was barefoot, dressed in a simple gray dress that looked handmade, her arms arranged neatly by her sides. Her face was serene, almost peaceful, as though she'd simply laid down to sleep and never woken up. There was no sign of trauma, no blood, no tracks leading in or out, no ID, no phone, no bag. Just her body, lying as if she belonged to the landscape. The only thing she carried was a small locket in the shape of a raven, tucked beneath her collar. Inside it, a faded photo of a mountain range no one could immediately identify. Sheriff Dalton arrived within the hour, a grizzled man who had seen his share of oddities. He called in the state coroner, who examined the body on site. The initial report listed suicide by poison, though no vial or container was ever found. Her fingerprints yielded no matches in any database, and facial recognition came up blank. She wasn't missing. She wasn't from anywhere nearby. To the law, she didn't exist. That's when the questions began to mount. Surveillance footage from the only road into Blind Frog Ranch, a narrow dirt trail monitored by motion cameras due to past vandalism, showed no vehicle or person entering in the days prior to her discovery. Local ranchers, hikers, and townsfolk were questioned. None recognized her. The property owners were known for their efforts to explore and document the strange anomalies of the ranch. They reviewed recent readings from their electromagnetic monitors and ground-penetrating radar, both of which had spiked in activity 2 days before the woman's discovery. It wasn't just a coincidence. Something had happened. The woman's locket was analyzed for clues. The photo inside was eventually matched, not to anywhere in Utah, but to a small, forested valley in eastern Slovakia. The strange part? The photo was from the 1930s, a near-identical match to one taken during an expedition that vanished in the Carpathians during that decade. The expedition had included 3 women, one of whom had never been accounted for. Her name, lost to time. Over the following weeks, more strange things began to occur on the ranch. Equipment failed. Batteries drained inexplicably. Shadows moved where they shouldn't. On several occasions, trail cams captured static-heavy frames showing a figure in gray standing just beyond the edge of the tree line. Always blurry, always still. Then, as suddenly as she appeared, all activity stopped. The body was transported to Salt Lake City for further autopsy. Her internal organs showed a type of tissue decay inconsistent with any known poison. It was as though her cells had simply shut down in synchronized fashion, as if following a signal or code. A prominent biochemist from the university offered to study her further, but withdrew abruptly from the case days later, citing personal reasons. Rumors surfaced that he'd seen something he couldn't explain. Back at the ranch, the exact location where she had been found began to shift. The soil hardened unnaturally, plants stopped growing there, and animals avoided it completely. Geiger counters picked up mild radiation, though nothing that could explain her death. A geologist brought in to study the site uncovered a strange pattern in the rocks beneath, a natural formation resembling a pentagram, created by mineral veins no wider than a pencil. It hadn't been there before. Or if it had, no one had noticed. Time passed. The body, still unclaimed, was buried in a marked grave near the edge of the ranch. A simple stone read, "Unknown woman, 2023. But the silence didn't last. A year later, the Raven locket, once logged and secured in evidence, vanished. The storage locker showed no signs of forced entry. Footage revealed nothing. It was as if the locket had dematerialized. The officer responsible for its cataloging later confessed to vivid dreams of a gray-dressed woman, her eyes full of sorrow and warning. He quit the force, moved away, and refused further interviews. That summer, a document surfaced from a retired intelligence agent claiming the ranch was built on top of an energy anomaly tied to a now-defunct Cold War-era project known as Echo Harvest, an experiment in manipulating frequencies to access alternate dimensions or timelines. The woman, he claimed, may not have been from here at all. He died weeks later in a single-car accident. Theories flooded in. Some believed she was a time traveler caught in the wrong era. Others whispered of ancient entities, cursed artifacts, or portals hidden in the rock. More grounded minds thought she may have been part of a secret experiment gone wrong, a psychological plant, or a staged distraction for something larger happening underground. But nothing explained how she got there, how she died, or why everything around her seemed to bend reality itself. In the end, no answers came. The official record lists her as Jane Doe, 47A, cause of death, undetermined. Origin, unknown. The Blind Frog Ranch quietly closed access to the public shortly afterward. Researchers were told to pack up. Equipment was removed. Trails were blocked. Silence fell again. But locals say if you walk far enough under the full moon, past the dried creek bed, and toward the ridge where the juniper tree stands bent and alone, you can sometimes see her, just for a second, standing in the clearing watching, waiting. And though no words are ever spoken, there is always the same feeling, like something is just beyond reach, like a question never asked, and an answer never meant to be understood. She came without warning, no vehicle, no luggage, just a slim figure walking the dusty road toward the ranch house one late autumn evening. Her clothes were simple, a faded blue sundress too thin for the crisp bite in the air, and her eyes, sharp, haunted, scanned the landscape like she'd seen it before. No one recognized her. She gave no name. And by morning, she was dead. They found her near the rim of the sinkhole, the one the ranch hands never went near after sundown. She lay peacefully, as if she'd simply fallen asleep, her hands folded over her chest. No wounds, no bruises, no indication of struggle. There were no signs of exposure or dehydration. The official report listed suicide as the cause. But no one could figure out how she had died, or why. Even more puzzling, nothing about her could be traced. No fingerprints in any database. No missing person reports matched her appearance. She had no ID, no phone, no belongings. Her shoes were clean despite walking the long, dusty road. There were no tracks behind her. It was as if the desert had birthed her whole and set her down among them, only to reclaim her within hours. Duane Ollinger, the ranch's current owner, had seen a lot in his time on the property. Lights in the sky, equipment gone haywire, geological anomalies that defied explanation. But nothing disturbed him like the woman. Not even the stories passed down about treasure buried by conquistadors or ancient tribal curses compared to the unease she brought with her presence. There were theories, of course. The crew working the land that season, hardened men with years on the job, whispered them quietly at night over the fire. She was an agent sent to investigate them. A ghost made flesh. A warning. One man, a local named Caleb, swore he'd seen her before. Not in person, but in a photograph, buried in a box of old papers belonging to his grandfather, who had homesteaded nearby in the 1940s. The picture showed a group of ranchers standing by a strange wooden structure built over a cave entrance. At the edge of the photo stood a woman in a blue dress. The same woman. Not a relative, not a neighbor, and certainly not someone who should have looked exactly the same 80 years ago. Caleb brought the photo to Duane, hands trembling. Duane studied it, silent for a long time, then locked the photo away without a word. Stranger still was what happened to her body. The authorities took her, of course, protocol. The coroner logged her, took samples, filed a preliminary report. But days later, when Duane requested a copy, he was told no such body had ever been received. The deputy who transported her said he never made the drive. No name appeared in the booking logs. Even the spot where they found her, previously marked by a single stone can placed by the crew, was now bare. The stone was gone, the earth smooth and undisturbed.